and techniques, and I became a better speaker. And since then, I go around the world trying to tell people, you too can be a better speaker. You too can be a better leader. And that I found to my calling to go around and help people to unlock their potential. Now, based on my research and my conversations with leaders and my observations, I agree that some people are truly exceptional. They're born with certain traits, talents, and gifts that make them special. You drop them into a group and they automatically emerge as a leader. These are what I call leaders by birth, born leaders. Now the question is this: what if you are not born with those gifts, talents, and traits? Do you still stand a chance to be a leader others admire and follow? Fortunately, the answer is yes. In fact, most people who we admire as leaders did not start off as leaders. They picked up certain skills, behaviors, and techniques and attitudes of mind that, under the right circumstances, transformed them from ordinary people to extraordinary leaders. Now the question is, and these people are what I call leaders by design. Now the question is, how does someone become a leader by design? Or more specifically, what can you do, what steps can you take to become a leader others will admire and follow? I was searching for an answer for years. In the end, what I found was different from what I read in leadership books. A slightly different perspective and a slightly different set of leadership lessons. In fact, these leadership lessons can be summarized in a folk tale my father used to tell me. It's called The Mousetrap. Allow me to tell you the tale. As you listen to this tale, think about your life. Think about your life experiences. Think about the people you have met in your life and try to guess what the leadership lessons could be. Here is the story. A long, long time ago, there lived a poor farmer. This poor farmer lived in a small house with his wife. One day, the poor farmer bought a mousetrap. Now, the mouse of the house, he looked out of this mouse hole and he saw this mousetrap and he said, "Oh my God, there's a mousetrap in the house." He panicked, he ran out. Well, he saw the hen, the goat, and the cow. He went to the hen and said, "Hen, hen, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house." And the hen said, "Why are you telling me this? This is not my problem." So he went to the goat and said, "Mr. Goat, Mr. Goat." I'm not calling you the goat. There's no resemblance. Just believe me. He said, "Mr. Goat, Mr. Goat, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house." And the goat said, "Hey, why are you telling me this? It's not my problem." So the mouse went to the cow and said, "Cow, cow, holy cow, there's a mousetrap in the house. There's a mousetrap in the house." And the cow said, "Have you ever heard a cow being trapped in a mousetrap? Go away, this is not my problem." Ladies and gentlemen, there was a mousetrap in the house. Everybody heard about it. Most of them ignored it because it was not their problem. That night, bang, something got trapped in the mousetrap. The farmer's wife, she sprang up from her bed and said, "Hey, finally I got that mouse." And she ran into the kitchen. It was pitch dark. She stooped down to pick up the mouse. But it was not a mouse that was trapped in a mousetrap. It was a snake. The snake bit the farmer's wife, and she yelled out in pain, and the farmer came running in with a lantern, and he killed the snake. But the damage was already done. The farmer's wife fell ill. Now, what's a good medicine for high fever? Don't say go to Walgreens. The poor farmer slaughtered the hen and fed his wife with chicken soup. Now the news spread, and friends and relatives came to visit the farmer's wife. And to feed them, the poor farmer slaughtered the goat. Unfortunately, 2 days later, the farmer's wife passed away. The entire village came for the funeral. And to feed them, the poor farmer slaughtered the... As an Indian, I am not allowed to kill the cow. I always let the audience do that. Now the farmer said, oh my God, my stupid decision to buy that mousetrap destroyed my whole sense of livelihood. He had lost almost everything, and he became sad and lonely and depressed. He had no motivation or interest to work. 3 months later, the poor farmer passed away. That's the end of the story. Now, my question is, what are the lessons? You want to shout out some answers? Yes? Yes? What's that? Oh, animals should have cared. Anything else? Don't buy a mousetrap. Yes, you want to shout? Okay, the problem comes to you. Last one, yes? Be proactive. All right, I'll get back to you on that, okay? You want to say something? You raise your hand. Oh, any problem could be your problem. Good. It's interesting how I speak about this in many cities, and depending on the country, the answer is always different. Last time I spoke in the US, someone said, have a light bulb in the kitchen. I think it was in Indonesia, someone said, don't marry a hyperactive wife. And then a lady interrupted and said, it's a farmer's problem. He should not have bought the mousetrap. He should have just bought a cat. What I've done is I have derived 18 leadership lessons from the mousetrap. I got so excited about it, I even wrote books on this topic. So if Toastmasters is where leaders are made, the Mousetrap Way is trying to show how leaders are made. Or rather, how, or what do you need to do to become a leader others will admire and follow. These are quite extensive lessons. Since we don't have that much time, I have picked 5 lessons that you can take away today and put into practice right away. You see, the mousetrap initially didn't look like a problem for the hen, the goat, and the cow. But in the end, it only affected the hen, the goat, and the cow. Whenever something happens, no matter how remote, no matter how insignificant, no matter how improbable, it has a potential to affect us. Let's not ignore that. Whether it's in your team, in your club, in your organization, when something goes wrong, it's not just the problem of the team leader or the CEO or the club president. It's a problem for every one of us to solve, to come together and solve. Because when you're in a team, somebody's problem is everybody's problem. Somebody's problem is everybody's problem. You see, the mousetrap represents both the risk and the reward. The trap is the risk, and the cheese is the reward. If you look at any great leader worth his or her salt, there are people who have taken ownership of some problem and got involved to find a solution. Most people don't want to get involved because of the risks involved. That's what I want to get at. The first lesson is ownership. Ownership is at the core of leadership. In fact, ownership is the habit that leads to leadership. Raise your hand if you know someone who avoids ownership.